So, all right. Around October of 2001, you started a feud with Chris Jericho. In the storyline, Chris and Steph had been rivals for quite some time leading up to this. So once you and Chris started your feud, you and Steph also started to become involved with each other on TV as she was supporting you in the feud.
Uh-oh.
So, like we talked about on a past show, you were getting a huge push at this time. In the span of 5 days, you pinned the WWF World Champion in Kurt Angle and then the WCW World Champion, The Rock. Unfortunately, both those matches were non title matches. You're the only wrestler in the history of wrestling to do that. Wow, how about that?
Snap.
Dang. YouTube Chris, nice statistic here. To add some salt to the wound in the match with Kurt, I almost said Chris, the stipulation was if you won, which you did, Steve Austin would get a WWF World title match with Kurt. And in that match, you got him. Austin defeated Kurt to win the title. Because of you beating both Kurt and Rock all the time, you legit could have and should have been the first undisputed world champion, holding both the WWF World and WCW World titles at the same time. Jericho ended up being the first to do that in a few months later, December. So around this time, when you and Steph would be talking on camera, this is when they offered you an angle with her where you two would become an on-air couple. Talk about your memories of that. Do you remember like having that being pitched to you or anything of that regard, or like working with Steph on air, or for when you did work with her on air? How was that too?
Say that again.
Okay, so talk about your memories of they offered you an angle where you two would become an on-air couple or something like that, and then did you have memories of that at all?
Well, I just remember like I made out with her first just to see like if we'd be awkward in front of the camera or not. I'm just joking.
Sure.
Yeah. I did have an actress say that one time though.
Like she offered to do that with you or something?
This was on Blood Moon. I mean, I'm green as can be, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So green, but I'm supposed to make out with this girl in a pinball machine. And like, I just met her like right before we go action. And she was like, I think she said she tried to call me the night before or something to meet me or whatever. And I was like, oh, really? You know, well, I could. And then she was like, can I get a hug? So at least I feel like I know you, you know, and hugged her. And she was trying to like bond before we go action. And I was like, dude, I don't care. Say action. And I was like, but I couldn't. I was supposed to get her bra undone. I didn't. And I was so green, I didn't even know how to do it. I guess I'd never undone a girl's bra. I didn't understand without looking at it. Yeah. I didn't know the mechanics of it, and I was too embarrassed to say anything. So my stupid ass held up production. They had to go over and over, and they're like, Rob, this time when you're kissing, you undo. We want to see her tits. It's supposed to be like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. And I kept like fumbling with it. Yeah. How stupid though. I should have just told them. And she was like, you want me to show you? I was like, no, I got it this time. That's how dumb I was. Stubborn. That's like we were talking about before. People would rather be right. Or no, they would rather just win the argument than be correct. You know what I mean? Like be actually correct. You know, instead defend that fucking wrong position so you don't lose the fight. And then it never did come out. They never came out, and they ended up not having a titty scene because they didn't want to shoot it a fifth time.
Jeez.
Yeah. But anyway, Stephanie's titties didn't come out.
Yes.
And she was always like super cool, and I was afraid to do. And it wasn't like they offered me an angle the way you put it. Anyway, it was more like those scripts. That was the only time I've seen scripts is they would hand it to you, and it was suggested dialogue. Make it your own. Boom, boom, boom. But I saw where the story was going, and I was uncomfortable with it because my evil ex, the most insecure woman ever. That would make my life hell at home, having a romantic angle with Stephanie on TV and having her friends tell her, yeah, I saw, like what's going on with Rob and Steph. Like I just, like even just being there and being on the road, she automatically assumed that I was cheating and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's always combating that, which a lot of guys know what that's like. And thank God I'm not in a toxic relationship like that, but it was always like I was trying to fight for trust,
Yeah.
And feeling like I deserved it. Not like a lot of people that don't deserve trust that are fighting for trust, but me actually deserving it, being honorable, being honest, being faithful, and still getting accused of every, like don't think I don't know what's going on when you're at, just she was always like that nastiness.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was like, man, I just want to wrestle. I don't want to get involved with storylines like this and stuff, and I don't remember who I told first. I remember having to talk with Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like really upset about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this sucks. And I remember Stephanie, trying to make me feel comfortable with it. And she said, predictably, just look at it like we're just actors and you're just playing a part. And I was like, okay, but don't call me Rob Van Dam then, because I really am Rob Van Dam. I have been for, what was it, 10, 12 years?
Right at that point.
Whatever, yeah. And so, that's the thing, is like they always put that in there with someone else. It's weird to have somebody else help control your image and you have some control to steer it, but not total control. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Obviously, you always have the absolute last say because you got 2 feet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what I always believe. You may not like all your options, but there's always at least one option, if you want to walk. But anyway, that's what I said, like but my image, everything like that is me, boom, boom. I remember talking to Bruce Pritchard about it. And I remember Bruce, man, I was brand new at this time. This feels like week. Wow. This is such a, fresh, like trying to figure out the chain of command and who's that dude running around with the blue hair and how come I don't trust him. And it was like, but I remember talking to Bruce and Bruce was like, I'm glad we had this talk. If you didn't tell me that you were uncomfortable with certain things, then how would I know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, so now I know. So, we can work around that issue, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I thought everything went well. Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Next week when I got there and somebody, I think little blue haired Brian handed me the script and then,
is that Brian Gewartz? Just to,
I'm not sure what his last name is.
Oh, okay. Like he was the head writer at the time.
Yeah.
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 Man, big Mets.
Probably a good guy too.
Yeah.
By the way.
He's a good dude.
But I read the script and it seemed to go further into the romance angle, and I was just fresh from ECW. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the pick a hand thing wasn't that long ago, and that was a legitimate problem-solving option. And I went to Blue Hair Brian, and he was like in a printer machine or something, working on something. And I said, hey, who do I have to go and slap to get this to stop? He goes, what? And I said, who do I have to slap? You? He was like, no. I said, who? Bruce? And he goes, no, don't slap anybody. What? And I said, I was told last week that, since I told you guys that, so I figured they were fucking with me is what it was. So, I got really defensive because I'd always heard stuff about that too, that they would fuck with you and test you and rib you till you want to hang yourself, and horrible stories. And Bruce was in a lot of those stories. And so I figured since he told me, thanks for letting me know you don't want me to write anymore about you and Stephanie and a love interest. Wink, wink. Next week, Rob and Stephanie are in the backseat of a car. I was like, okay, I'll do it old school then. Who do I need to smack? He was like, no, don't smack anybody. I said, where's he at? Who wrote? He goes, Bruce wrote this. I said, where's he at? And he was like, I don't know. And then I went, and I think I told Paul. I said, where's Bruce at? I gotta smack him. And I think Paul talked me out of it. Yeah. And he was like, why? What's going on? And I told him, I said, look at this, and they, they're fucking with me now. I got to show them they can't fuck with me. And he was like, don't do that. It's not a good idea. And I was like, I don't want to do this,
Hey, yeah.
That's what I remember going down, and Paul talked me out of it. And then talking to somebody must. It was probably Bruce, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe then at a later, later on in the day or whatever, about ways that we could fix it and make everybody happy. What if Jericho is in love with her and he's pursuing her, but she's pursuing you, but you don't even notice. Like she's all trying to go out of her way, like, hey Rob, and hey, you look great, and you're just in your character, like, yeah, I really do, don't I? And I was like, I could see that working. But
Yeah.
then I don't really think we did much with it though.
No, I'm trying to recall it too, just from like when I was watching it, and I think I remember
We
a
had,
little bit what you're saying.
we had
But
that conversation, and then I don't remember where it went from there.
yeah.
So,
Hmm. No, that's yeah, because I do remember. I remember like them having like stuff with Jericho and everything at that point. But yeah. Hmm.